Thank you, Sean, and thank you, everybody. And especially, I would like to thank especially Kim and Jan that invited me to be here. I have a presentation also tomorrow about the multi-hemp project that I coordinate. But being an international participant, I was also asked to present some data about what's going on in Italy. And well, we have started to grow hemp also quite recently in a significant number, but we have a big history of growing hemp. There you can see this is like 1,000 hectares. So there was in the end of the 19th century up to 130,000 hectares in Italy. It was a very important crop and was mainly a fiber crop. Actually, one of the main customers, especially in the following century of the hemp coming from Italy, was the British Navy that conquered a big part of the world thanks to the ropes and the sails that were produced in Italy. But as you see, as in most of the other countries, the production of hemp went down during the 20th century. And in actually 1975, it was banned. Actually, it was not grown anymore. And that, I think, one of the reasons for which it was banned, because nobody was actually defending a crop that was not existing anymore. In 1998, there was a decree from the ministry that allowed, under the pressure of, say, hemp activists, to go back and grow hemp. And this is the picture that Daniel will show and comment later. It's the situation of hemp in EU in the next 20 years. I just would like to point out two parts that you see highlighted in this in my presentation here. This part here and this part here, in which, in purple here, you can see Italy. So Italy started in 98 with few hectares, just like some people that wanted to try to grow hemp, and was really like small surfaces. But in around 2002, 2003, we had I would say, a relatively large industry that started, and they grew 1,000 hectares in 2 or 3 years, and that was for the textile. So you see, it was like the old idea, the old tradition of hemp that was coming back, but with a new completely idea to grow hemp as flax linen is grown, so short, like 1 meter, and then to use all the same machinery and technology used to make linen. It didn't work out very well. This entrepreneurial activity failed, and everything was actually closed and moved away, which was a pity, because the textile was used and is still used. And I think that Linificio Canapificio, that is industry behind that was using this textile to make garments and to make clothes, has just recently finished the textile, and they are looking for new textile, because there is not a huge market, but it's large enough to gain attention from this big industry. What happened in the last period, really last 3-4 years, and you see I wrote seed and oil, because hemp is coming back. Actually, last year we had 2,000 hectares, and this year apparently the estimate is that we have 2,300 hectares, but it's mostly for seeds and oil. And this is interesting, because I think that Daniel will comment a lot on that, because you see at this steady increase, but then I say something. The steady increase of the hemp acreage in Europe has been mainly linked to the increase in, and this is also a picture that for sure Daniel will present afterwards. And you see these are the two recent statistics about hemp in Europe, and you see that the seed production has doubled in the last period, and most of it is linked to the fact that hemp seeds has been used for food. It's mainly the food application has increased, and this is very interesting. And of course, here in Canada, you know very well this market. Regarding hemp processing in Italy, and when I say processing, I'm talking about fiber processing. There are like 3 small plants which are a little bit more than prototype plants. One is, the first one that was open is from Asocanapa. Asocanapa is an association of hemp producers that started, I think it was founded in '97, just 1 year before the cultivation of hemp was possible. And I mean, it's a group of people that really like pushed pushed the cultivation of hemp in Italy, and they developed during the years different prototypes. There was a small prototype, and they are the first that have been collecting hemp stems and processing hemp stems. Then South Hemp, you see in the south of Italy, has a machine which is similar, and I think they started with also with the new machineries. They both, I think, grow around 200-300 or a little bit more, also 300 hectares of hemp, both seeds and stems. And then there is another company, Eco Hemp, in the northeast of Italy. They also have a prototype machine, and they all both purchase the seeds and also the stems. So let's say, I would say that far less than half of the hemp that is grown in Italy is grown for fiber and seeds. All the rest is for the seeds. And then, of course, there is a multitude of micro value chains spread all over Italy that produce hemp mainly for the seeds and for the oil. These are the main point I would like to highlight regarding the future and also the present of hemp production in Italy. The first one is legal concerns. And I say this because, as I said, in '98 there was this decree of the Ministry of Agriculture that made legal again to grow hemp, but there is always some level of uncertainty. Also last year, for example, there was a farmer that ended up in jail because of some kind of, it was a new place where hemp was not grown before, so somebody just decided to bring this guy in jail. And this is not, of course, very good for the hemp cultivation. Recently, last year, there was this new law that passed. We have two chambers, passed one chamber, and now he's just waiting, and well, actually, I just received a message saying that it's been postponed again. It's in the Senate, and the Senate has postponed again the approval of this law, which is like nothing particularly incredible about it, but it's just like to make it more simple to grow hemp. So with this law, when it will be enforced, there will be no need, for example, to declare the cultivation of hemp, so you can grow hemp as any other crop. You do not need to have a specific contract, so it's like to make it more simple. And what most important, you know that in Europe is 0.2 the level of THC, and all the crops, all the varieties that you use have to be registered. So to be registered, of course, they have to be grown to have less than 0.2%. The point is that most of the varieties, they come from, let's say, France or Central Europe, where the conditions usually are less favorable for cannabinoid production. So if you bring them to the south, especially the south of Italy, you might have sometimes something which goes a little bit above 0.2, or nothing like 1% or something like this, but maybe 0.21, 22, something like this. That poses a problem. So the new law would say that in between 0.2 and 0.6 is not a problem. So there will be no responsibility on the farmer, and the crop will not be destroyed. And the crop will be destroyed above 0.6%. So which makes it very unlikely that will happen. So this is the first thing that, I mean, it's main concern. This is a concern also because a lot of industries do not want to invest in a business which is like unreliable in the sense that it's not legally safe in a certain way. So these are, that's why I put in on the top, even though in principle it should be solved, this problem. Another point, and I think that I also put Federcanapa here because recently we funded Federcanapa, another federation of hemp producers, and I'm the president of the scientific committee of this federation, and we tackle many of the problems of the hemp production chain in Italy. And one of the problems is oil quality and traceability. So as I said, one of the driving forces of development of hemp in Italy nowadays is food also because, I mean, we have a big tradition for food production, and I think it makes it quite understandable, the fact that we want to produce oil of good quality, and we want it to be traceable from Italian production. So we are working on that to get also like good standards for oil quality. Then I am an agronomist, so agronomic issues are also there. Unexperienced farmers. Very often hemp is grown by different people. Every year you have new people growing hemp, so this poses of course a lot of problems. You have to have a nice extension system to provide information. We have a huge production, organic production in Italy. It's becoming almost unmanageable. It's like 1.5 million hectares of organic production in Italy, and I think this gives a good opportunity also to produce hemp in an organic way. I'm very looking forward for the presentation we have in the afternoon about organic hemp production, because especially organic farmers, they see in hemp a very attractive crop for all the positive agronomic characteristics that this crop has. So this is also something we have to work on. Pathogen, of course, to work on marginal environments. More and more we want to work on marginal environments. So environment where, I mean, traditionally hemp was grown on the best soil, in the North Plain, also in the South Plains. Now more and more we see hemp grown on marginal environment where you need like water, for example, or you have drought situation. There is no information about which is the best, for example, variety to be grown on this type of situation. Or we have few projects to grow hemp on polluted soil. So we know that hemp can grow on polluted soil with heavy metals. This is an opportunity for certain areas, but then how you handle the product afterwards, that's also an issue. Then we have this product, I put empty seeds. This is a problem that we see in many situations where we grow hemp, especially is linked to when the flowering happens, when we have the hot temperature, and we are starting also these issues. Then, of course, there is a lot of emphasis on developing genotypes, new genotypes. We have a lot of what I would define like glorious genotypes from the past, but they are mostly dioecious. Then, of course, breeding has to go on, and I will talk about this in my presentation tomorrow. Then, of course, I think that to make, and this is my idea, it's the idea I will explain tomorrow, which is the idea at the basis of multi-hemp, so to develop hemp as a multi-purpose crop. Here in Canada, I think you develop the biggest cultivation of hemp around the world, and it's mainly for the production of grains. And I studied, and hemp, as we saw before, throughout history, was mainly a fiber crop. Now fiber seems to be the weak point. So sheaves for the herds, we have a lot of application. For the fiber, we have a lot of interesting application, but I was here 10 years ago in Saskatoon. There was a fiber conference, and a lot of the things said in the morning were said also 10 years ago. And I still see that in Canada there is not a fiber processing unit and company, still prototype. So yeah, we have really to do something about this. And market is one thing, to create a market for the fiber. Mechanization, of course, poses a lot of problems. Then also retting. Retting is a big issue. In Italy, still where hemp used to be grown, it's part of the landscape, these retting ponds. So hemp stems were retted in the water. This is not feasible, of course, anymore. So it's not feasible in a certain way to have the same high quality that we had in the past. And then also retting is an issue, because most of the hemp fiber that is produced in Europe is produced after retting, dew retting in the field. In Italy, we don't really have the conditions to have dew retting because it's a dry climate. So how to solve this problem, I will show you tomorrow. We are studying this issue. But regarding the market, I just would like to point out, this is a partner that we have in our multi-hemp project, and I want to show you what they're doing, because they very, very recently inaugurated, like 10 days ago, officially, their new plant. So it's called CMF Green Tech. It's a spin-off from a larger company, and they develop machineries for the tile industry. And they decided to go green, at least with this spin-off. They are very good still in producing machine for tiles. And they develop a system which is like, basically they use hemp sheaves, and they mix with a completely natural binder. It's a mix of mineral material and vegetable material, so it's completely 100% recyclable, and I think it's a very nice way. So there is a market for the sheaves, there is a market for the seeds, but in a way we have to find a market for the fiber to make it really sustainable. Okay, thank you for the attention.